Sianagon, hello all. Good afternoon, Awado. Thank you for watching. This is day 48 of Transformation of America, the true life story of a CIA mind control slave by Kathy O'Brien with Mark Phillips. And we're getting into chapter 21, Global Education 2000. My programmed role toward implementing Education 2000 according to the plans of those ushering in the New World Order brought me back in contact with former Governor of Tennessee, Lamar Alexander, and eventually Canadian Prime Minister Brian Mulroney, M-U-L-R-O-N-E-Y. I had met Lamar Alexander in 1978 at a satanic ritual I was objected to in an affluent neighborhood of Nashville, Tennessee. Lamar Alexander presided over the sex-oriented occult ritual with full understanding of my Project Monarch mind control victimization and the impact his actions were having on my mind. It was an experience then and intermittently throughout the years that Lamar Alexander's sexual perversion was to bring his victim to the point of death through oral suffocation. Okay. During the course of publicly exposing Tennessee's need for education reform as instructed, I was in contact with commissioners, superintendents, mayors, and Lamar Alexander. Lamar Alexander, who followed Bennett as Bush's Secretary of Education, worked in close association with Bill Bennett to manipulate the minds of all the masses to accept Education 2000 as the only means of education reform. When Ned McWhorter, MCWHERTER, was moved into the office of governor to rubber stamp federal projects, Lamar Alexander maintained influence over state politics. At the same time, he maintained influence over national politics through his role as chairman of the National Governors Association in 1986. As the 1984 Governor's Convention drew near, I met with Lamar Alexander at the Stockyard nightclub, where he was drinking with his longtime associate and partner in crime, Nashville's Mayor Richard Fulton. And the basement bar of this old converted stockyard was a modified antique shoe shine booth, where the term took on new meaning. A key to a private shoe shine booth could be obtained by those in the know through stockyard owner Buddy Killen, K-I-L-L-E-N. This closet-zipped booth was lined in mirrors and had a small bench where Lamar Alexander sat. After our business was concluded, I knelt at his feet as ordered to perform oral sex. Programmed sex slaves such as myself were trained to go long periods of time without drawing a breath. Okay. And users such as Alexander stretched this time to the maximum. All right. First footnote. Hang on. I have witnessed girls die of suffocation from this practice, even though 3 to 5 minutes without breathing is common. Good God Almighty. On this occasion, Alexander apparently exceeded the maximum. I do not recall completion of my programmed task. It was after hours when my mind control handler, Alex Houston, dragged my limp body from the booth, roused me, and ordered me out of the building. Buddy Killen opened a back door that once was a cattle run, and Houston half dragged me out the back exit unseen. Okay. The night of the convention, Alex Houston's youngest daughter, Bonnie, this is number 2. While Bonnie was not raised in Project Monarch, Houston's pedophilia and stage hypnosis techniques rendered Bonnie unable to control her own actions. Bonnie is a multiple with a record of prostitution in need of therapy and care. Bonnie was to join me. Bonnie and I were close to the same age, and together we dressed for the occasion. As a prostitute, Bonnie was familiar with Lamar Alexander and his perversions, but nevertheless was excited at the prospect of seeing old friends at the convention by Louise Mandrell. Number 3, Irby Mandrell openly discussed Senator Burr's direct involvement in the Project Monarch government, mind control victimizations of his incestuously abused daughters with Houston. Having babies can be a lucrative way to feather your nest. That's what the bird taught me. BYRD. This guy. Mandrell continued, Louise was a little withdrawn and she needed to come out of her cocoon and spread her wings. I ran the idea by Bird and he said, if she doesn't have a talent, let's make her one. What is a band without a fiddle? A viola, there she is. Another star on the rise launched from NASA City, USA, and in parentheses, Huntsville, Alabama. Alrighty. So Mandrell, who would be entertaining there? The camaraderie between Alex Houston and Irby Mandrell that developed during Bob Hope's USO tours in the 1960s lasted for decades due to their shared involvement in running mind control slaves for Bird. Bonnie shared in his friendship with the Mandrells and was looking forward to seeing her friends in the band. I too was looking forward to talking with Louise Mandrell, but for a very different reason. Barbara had just endured her near-fatal car crash, and I was deeply concerned for her welfare. Throughout the 1980s, while traveling under the guise of country music industry, Alex Houston toured with Barbara and or Louise Mandrell on a regular basis. Occasionally, Barbara and I saw each other in church, the Hendersonville Lord's Chapel. This church was an offshoot of Billy Roy Moore's, Moore, Lord's Chapel, and was pastored by his mind control slave, Mike Nelson, who became close friends with Barbara. Alex Houston and I were present when Mike Nelson broke program and attempted to flee for his life with Barbara Mandrell. The pastor was subdued with a stun gun and immediately relieved of his position, while Barbara frantically sought answers to the questions the two of them had managed to raise. Alex Houston was touring with Louise Jeepers. In 1984, when Louise had a premonition of Barbara's imminent demise, much the same way Loretta Lynn psychically predicted her son's murder. Like the murders of Loretta's son and country music entertainer Keith Whitley, Whitley, I was aware of Barbara's planned accident before it occurred due to Alex Houston's direct involvement. These traumas were also used as a means of locking in my mind control belief that I had nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Worst of all, I could not think to speak of what I knew to my own absolute mind control. While Barbara physically survived her ordeal, her voice was silenced as planned. When Bonnie and I arrived at Opryland Hotel, we hurried to the ballroom where Louise Mandrell would be performing. My concern for Barbara detracted me from my appointment with Lamar Alexander until one of Louise's dancers who knew of my role put me back on track. "What are you doing here?" he demanded. "You're supposed to be at Rhett Butler's restaurant now." I hurried to the restaurant where Lamar Alexander was having dinner with Senator Byrd and several governors. Byrd was participating in the function for reasons unknown to me, but I was aware that he had fiddled at the Opry. Byrd stopped eating just long enough to acknowledge my presence. "Where have you been?" "I was checking on Barbara over at the show," I replied as Lamar Alexander excused himself and walked over. Putting an arm around me and turning me away from the table, he whispered, "You could wind up just like her if you don't get with the program. You've got programs to hand out. But right now, you're interrupting my dinner. Have you anything to drink?" "No, sir," I replied, traumatized at the magnitude of the threat. Lamar Alexander instructed me to leave immediately, order a grasshopper from the conservatory bar, and wait for further instructions. It was a matter of routine for me to order a grasshopper from Opryland Hotel's conservatory. The ice cream drink was specially made, always with a hypnotic drug in it. Okay. As sometimes happened, the waitress was unfamiliar with the process, and the conservatory harp player and CIA operative Lloyd Lindroth, Lindroth, interceded. The drug had the same effect as that administered at the DC NASA Programming Center by Bennett, and my mode was robotic compliance. After the drug kicked in, Lloyd Lindroth instructed me to proceed to the main ballroom of the hotel where Lamar Alexander would be meeting me. The outer lobby of the ballroom was decorated in wall-sized murals that extended to the top of the Gothic ceiling. A life-size steam engine depicted on the far wall appeared to be racing toward the grand staircase. I had seen the mural numerous times before, but never had they seemed so real as they did to me that night on the NASA drug. The heavy double doors leading to the ballroom caused me to feel very small as I pulled with all my strength to open it. Inside the room was a sea of black suits and ties, and I was relieved when Lamar Alexander ushered me back out into the lobby. Alexander positioned me near the train mural as a cryptic indicator to those in the know that I was a trained mind control slave. I was provided a box of brown envelopes packed with Education 2000 information I was to hand out to the governors. Alexander instructed me on exactly what I was to say in conjunction with the message Bennett had programmed me in DC. Then he returned to the ballroom where he apparently acted in the capacity of a pimp. "Are you waiting on a train?" a paunchy governor asked. "No, sir," I answered then. As instructed, I said, "But I do have a packet of information with your name on it. Shall I take it to your room for you?" "Oh, and what is my name?" he asked. "Governor," I responded. There actually were no names on the envelopes. "Astute," he responded. "And what is it you have for me?" "This packet," I answered, handing it to him. "And anything else you want? Compliments of Lamar Alexander," and in parentheses it says tapped, Secretary of Education Bill Bennett. According to some of the men, Alexander had cued them as to my position. Others, such as the governor of Pennsylvania, Dick Thornburgh, and Ohio Governor Dick Celeste, Celeste, already knew me. "I've got a packet of information with your name on it," I was saying as I bent over to lift one from the box. "I don't think so," Governor Blanchard of Michigan interrupted. "Bill," in parentheses, Bennett, "wouldn't stoop so low as to insult me that way. I'm doing the same thing here you are, but from a very different approach. The figures I offer reflect the success of Education 2000 in the Michigan school system. I recognize Governor Blanchard and was well aware of Michigan's ranking first in the nation in education. Speaking of which, he continued, I believe I see your mother more often than you do these days, since she is working in the schools. That little sister of yours, in parentheses, Kimmy, is a prime example of what proper instruction can produce. Your little sister is coming to Mackinac to further her skills. Your whole family is a prime example of how good Education 2000 works. Okay, we'll stop it there. Done the go hang till we meet again. Love you, mean it.